the right way. That's why you're here today. The compensation's there. Trust me. I can tell you from experience, the comp is there. But you need to understand how to do the basics and go out there and share this with people the right way. And I couldn't think of anybody better right now in the company than the gentleman that's going to come up here and close out and talk to you about how to go out there and get to the positions that we just talked about by simply going out there and sharing this with people that you know the right way. There's a right way to do this, and there's a wrong way to do this. How many of you guys have experienced that so far?
Sure. Yep.
Yes.
You know, you don't even understand what you're saying, and you're just saying things, but we have it. It's a cookie cutter system, and we really feel like we're on the verge of perfecting this, and that's what we're here to teach you today. So please help me welcome to the front of the room one of the top regional directors in North American Power. He's a household name in our company, right around 40,000 customers in his referral network right now, six-figure earner in North American Power, Bob Heilig.
How's everybody doing? Great. Very good. Well, I want to just give it back to Brendan before I get into the training here. And how many people can agree that now having a little bit of a better understanding of the compensation plan, you're just a little bit more excited about what's possible here for the company.
Yes.
I think one of the things that's really been interesting over the last 3 years that I've been now it's actually a little over 3 years that I've been involved with the company. I got involved November 1st of 2010, and Brendan was literally one of there were two people that I called in my first week, and you hear 40,000 customers, and that it's a lot. And I'd like to be able to say that I've been responsible for that, but I really haven't, because I got lucky because two of the first calls I made were, one was Brendan Fagan, who has about 20,000 of those 40,000, and then the other call was to another good friend of mine, Zach Baylor, who's an area director in the front here, who's been responsible for a portion of that as well. So look, here's what's encouraging. If you can get really good at just finding people that are better than you and be lucky enough to be the one that introduces them to this opportunity, you can literally become wealthy just by doing that. And I think, whether you see yourself as somebody that's going to be able to get up in front of the room and give a training someday, that has no bearing whatsoever on your ability to be successful in this company. Because I think one of the things that's really, that was so encouraging to me in the beginning is that I didn't have to be the expert. And when I saw what was really involved with me going out and actually, having a conversation with somebody and introducing them to the North American Power opportunity, I got excited because I really felt like it was something that I could do. And I think the goal here today is this, is that we want to give you that exact training, and we want to empower you so that when you leave here today, you can feel confident that, this is something that I can do. Because I think what you're going to find is that never in your life will you find a business that is simpler than what we do here. Now, I want to make a point and say that doesn't mean easy, because you understand simple and easy they're not the same thing. And I'll tell you this up front, it's not going to be easy. It hasn't been easy developing a network of 40,000 customers in the last 3 years. It's been very hard. But at the same token, it's absolutely been worth it. And when I sat in your seat 3 years ago, having a background in sales and having spent the previous almost decade in the medical sales field, finding myself very frustrated because tell me if you can relate to this. I always felt like it didn't matter how hard I worked or how much effort I put in, I never really had control over what my income was going to look like. Because there was always, number one, somebody else signing my check. My income was always at the mercy of economic factors or, the industry that I was in, competition, my customers, deciding they didn't want to use the service that I was selling anymore. And I felt like I was always kind of on like a hamster on a wheel, like too much month at the end of the money. Anybody relate to that?
Yes.
And I just got to the point where I just got so frustrated and fed up because when I looked around me, I saw a lot of my own same, my friends and family having a lot of those same worries. But there was always the examples of somebody like a Bob Doran, who you heard, mentioned earlier, who, had gone out and, we're living a lifestyle that I dreamed of. For me, the problem was this. The problem was that I have had periods of my life where I made money, But during those periods, I also found myself to really severely be lacking in time. Can anybody relate to that?
Yeah.
Meaning when I was making good money, I was working all the time. So it was like I was making it, but I couldn't really enjoy it. And then I've also had periods in my life where I've had a ton of free time, but guess what? I wasn't making any money. And the reason for that was because I was trading my time for money. And here's what I realized, is that I needed to find a way to get out of that cycle. Because what I saw in my life was I watched my parents work their entire lives, doing that, trading time for money, earning a living, basically working to pay their bills, and I watched my father retire and now have to live on half of what he couldn't barely afford to live on in the first place. And in their golden years of retirement, basically my father had to take on work a part-time job just to now pay their bills. And I didn't want that for me. And I just reached a point in my life where I got fed up to the point where I said, this has to change. And I think, I don't know you, but I can venture to guess this. You're probably at that point yourself. Because you wouldn't be here on a Saturday morning if there wasn't something in your life that you were dissatisfied with to make you reach out and want something more. Aaron talked about, being able to spend time with their child. Maybe for you it's, there are passions in your life that you want to be able to do, but you just don't have the time or the money to do it. I know for my dad it was playing golf. Any golfers in the room? He wanted time and money to play golf. Maybe for some women, maybe there are things that, whether it's spending time with family or there's a passion that you have, or maybe it's volunteering at your church or being able to contribute financially to people in your life, friends and family, and help them. I don't know what it is, but there's something about your life that you're not happy with because you're here. And I can say that with confidence because the people, I always realize that there is that one type of person that comes out basically just to get their friend or family member off their back so they don't have to talk to them about this anymore, right? Well, I'm pretty confident you're not here because those people usually leave during the break. That's why we take a break. And you can tell because they literally can't run out of the room fast enough, right? And that's fine. This is not for everybody, and we don't want everybody. Well, now I realize there is another scenario where you could have driven with the person, so now you have to stay here. So I'm sorry if that's you. You should have probably driven separately, but it is what it is. So in any event, why do I share that with you? Because I want you, when you're sitting here today and you're looking at this opportunity and we're teaching you what to do, I think it's so easy for us to get mired down in the details of what exactly do I say, or what are the rates, or how's this work? And we lose sight of the bigger picture of why we're here. And I think if you can get clear on the reason why you're here, if you can really find something that you can get passionate about, that every single day will get you out of bed early and get out there and face some of the adversity and put in the hard work and spend the hours to go out and do this, if you can find something to make you want to do more and you focus on that, the how doesn't matter. I'm telling you, if you've got a big enough reason why and you are excited and you just get out there and you just do this every day, you'll figure it out. You really will. So I think it's important for me to share that before I get into some of the details of what I want to say, because you'll never meet a bigger advocate for this company in your life. This company has completely changed my life. I went from 3 years ago waking up every day miserable, going to a job that I hated, going through the motions, barely even being able to pay my bills, having somebody else tell me how much money I'm worth, how long I can go on vacation for, when I'm supposed to eat lunch, and when I'm allowed to go to the bathroom. To today, being in a position where every single month when 40,000 customers pay their gas and electric bill, 40,000 people deposit money into my bank account. Time and money together, waking up every day when I'm done sleeping, doing the things that I want to do when I want to do them. Forget about TGIF. I hate that phrase. It's like the majority of the world lives their life just to get through the week so they can spend 2 days of the week jamming their entire life and the things they like to do and being around to 2 days. And then the oncoming depression sets in every Sunday night because you have to go back to a job that you hate. And people do this for 40 years and then retire on half the money they can't afford to live on anyway. 75% of adult males in this country today struggle with near poverty. 3 out of 4 according to USA Today. 80% of people do not like what they do for a living, but they'll do it for 40 years. and then you give them an opportunity to make a change, and they're not willing to do the work. They're not willing to show up here on a Saturday. Now you are, so give yourself credit, but I want you to understand this is a vehicle that can allow you to make that change. So let's get into kind of some of the training here that we want to talk about. Let's talk first about mindset. Guys, this is so important. So here's the thing that people always say. They're like, all right, if it's so good, why isn't everybody doing it? Have you found yourself to think that at some point? Has anybody ever said that to you? If it's so good, why doesn't everybody do it? Well, I'm going to tell you why everybody doesn't do it. I mentioned to you earlier, it's simple, but it's not easy. And here's the catch of this business, is that number one, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. And what I mean by that is that you are going to have to go through, you know, good days and bad days, good weeks and bad weeks, good months and bad months. And you're going to have to deal with the opinions of the people that you know, the responses of the people that you approach. And I'm just going to share with you a couple examples of, if you're new, I'm going to tell you what you're going to face, so that when you face it, it's easier for you to take. But I'm going to tell you this up front. Here's one of the things that people struggle with the most. If you want to be successful in this company, you are going to have to undergo a temporary loss of social esteem from ignorant people in your life. It's going to happen. You're going to have people in your life that, for whatever reason, you know, maybe they've been involved in some sort of a home-based business, or they knew somebody who didn't make money, has a garage full of products, or this or that, some sort of negative experience that is not really founded in anything rational, you know, that just because you're doing something like that, they're going to think, well, those things don't work. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And you're going to have some people that you go to that are going to think less of you because you're doing this. One of my stories that I tell all the time is one of my good friends I approached, and you know, he was very critical of the opportunity. And it was funny because when I saw it, I just got it and I was excited. Mm-hmm. I was excited about getting paid when people watch TV. I was excited about making money when somebody flipped on a light switch. I was excited about making money when somebody heated or cooked something on their stove. I got that. I knew everybody I knew paid a gas and electric bill. And I remember leaving the presentation and being jacked out of my mind thinking, if this is half of what it looks like, it's going to be the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life. But my friend who saw the same presentation, all he could think about was, what if it doesn't work? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if somebody says this? What if somebody says that? And the funny thing was so critical to the point where he tried to convince me that I shouldn't do it. Did all this research and found all these reasons why I shouldn't get involved, and spent all this time trying to figure out why it wouldn't work, and guess what I did? I just went out and did it. And you know, it's funny, it's like, I heard a saying once, it's like, success is interesting. Like, a lot of people will spend time trying to figure out why something works. You don't have to necessarily know why something works. Let me give you an example of that. Does anybody here understand the way electricity works?
Not really.
I don't. But I don't, when I flip a switch, I'm not skeptical of that. Do you know how a microwave works?
No.
Could you explain to somebody a microwave that's never seen, well, what do you do? Well, you put food in there, and you press a minute, and it cooks it. What's it do? I don't know. Has it stopped you from using a microwave?
No.
No. Guys, there are just some, here's what I know, is if somebody has done this before me, it means it can be done. So when I met Bob Doran, all I did was what he showed me. And while they were examining the roots of the tree, I was picking the fruit. You know, but you have to realize that you're going to run into some people that are going to be that way. Look, you're going to get involved in this company. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign up, and you're going to be excited. There's you, right there. Today, you're signing up, you're excited. Here's what I thought when I first got involved in this company. I remember leaving, and I was so jacked because I was like, do you realize how many people I know? And my thought process was this. You would literally have to be an idiot to not want to do this. I remember saying, I am going to sign up hundreds of customers, because who wouldn't want to, number one, get $50 for trying something for free that's going to save them money? Who wouldn't want to pay less? Who wouldn't want to make, right? These were my thought processes. Can anyone relate to that?
Yeah.
So I went out of the meeting, and I was on my way home, I was calling people. And this is what's going to happen to you, is you're going to run into people that knock you down. So I left the meeting. I was excited. I talked to my friend on the phone. He told me those things don't work. Tried one of those 10 years ago. Blah, 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 blah. And then there I am there. So you go from here to there in a matter of hours. And then here's what happens. You keep making calls because you heard, listen, some will, some won't. Who cares? Everybody has an electric bill. Just keep talking to people. Be excited. And then you call your other friend. And she or he says, I'm interested. I'm excited. Is there a meeting? And you say, well, actually, there is this Thursday. Why don't you come down? They're like, I've been looking for something like this for months. I'm in. And where are you now? You're back there. Some of you had people that said that to you about today. And some of those same people I see are sitting here alone right now. So let me tell you what happens. The day of the meeting comes. You talk to them on their way. They say, I'm on my way. You are excited. And you're waiting in the lobby of the hotel. And the minutes are ticking and they're not showing up. And I see it every week. People pacing back and forth in the lobby, waiting for somebody to walk in that's never going to come. And what happens? The meeting starts, they're not here, and there you are. And you're like, can I tell you how many times I quit this business my first couple of months in? I'm telling you, I quit at least once a week. I really did. Because I was constantly, I wasn't listening to what Bob was telling me. He said, look, everybody goes through this. And then here's the funny thing that happens, right? You get home the next morning, there's like 3 or 4 text messages from that person that didn't show up. And this is what it says. Oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened. I had a car full of people. We were coming to the meeting. And I got a flat tire. My phone went dead. I couldn't call you. We're all ready to do it. And then guess what happens? There you go. Come on over tomorrow. Get me signed up. You go to their house. And they never answer the door. And there you are. And this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. This right here will never, ever change. You could be making $1 million a month in this company, and people will still do this to you. It is unbelievable. And here's what I've learned to do. Just include it. You know, I had a span a couple of months ago where I was getting back to, you know, I want to find some new people to work with, and I figured, look, I quit my job, right? People know, it's clear for them to see that financially I've had success in this business, right? It'd be a no-brainer for me to go to these people and say, listen, I want to work with you, and I want to help you have success. And I went out and I approached like 4 or 5 friends of mine who all initially told me they were excited, right? Wanted to sign up. I signed 2 of them up. Never heard from them again after I signed them up. And I had 3 people literally not return my calls for a meeting. These were friends of mine. Why does something like that happen? I don't know. It just happens. So you just have to, guys, you have to prepare for this. Now, here's the key, is if you can just put the bar down and just take the ride and know that, look, if the only thing you have to do is deal with this, because your emotions are going to be your worst enemy. You know, it's the space in between your 2 ears that's going to either make you successful or make you fail. It's how you respond to things like this when they happen. You know, now, when it first happened, when something like that, it would, for a week, I'd be depressed. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I would just, you know, wallow in my own pity. And I'd have to come to another meeting to get motivated. Well, now, when that happens, it still affects me. I'm human. That can't not affect you. But it's like 5 minutes, I'm over it. And I'm back to that next person. So I just want you to be prepared that it's going to be a ride. But here's the interesting thing. When you get there, when you hit area director, when you've got that $1,000 a month in residual income coming in, right? When you make that rank advancement bonus, you get that $2,500 check. It's like now you think, I'm going to take it and I'm going to shove it right in their face. Right? Like that's what you think you're going to do. But the funny thing is when it gets to that point, it's just like you feel sorry for people. You really do. I've got friends of mine today that are still miserable. 3 years later, waking up to go to work, you know, it's funny. I've got a lot of plans. Like, you know, this year I want to do a lot of travel. You know, going to go to the Caribbean a couple times. Going to go to Europe, and I want to go to Europe for like a month. but I can't find like anybody that can go with me for that. And it's like annoying. You're like, dude, like I got like 8 days I gotta take. I'm like, who the heck wants to live a life like that? You know? So point I'm trying to tell you is it'll be worth it, and when you get there, it'll feel like it happens overnight. So just take that, you know, and here's the thing, give it enough time. Look, you're gonna fail your way to success. You know, I like to read a lot, and I like to study people that are successful, because to me, it makes me feel better about all the junk that I have to deal with on every day. Because we always think it's just us, right? Like we see like a Brendan Fagan, and we're like, oh my God, he must have just went right to the top. He didn't have to deal with any of this nonsense. His friends aren't like my friends. His family's not negative like my family, right? We all have to deal with the same thing. You know, it's interesting. I read stories, and how many people heard of J. Paul Getty? Yeah. Wealthiest man, one of the wealthiest men in the history of our country. He became famous for, he made his money in oil. He became famous for drilling dry holes. He drilled more dry oil wells, 10 times more than anybody ever had. The reason why he became rich is because years into him doing that, he found a well that he found one of the largest oil deposits in North America ever, still to this day. But he consistently failed over and over and over and over again until he was successful. How many people have heard of Kentucky Fried Chicken? Colonel Sanders, anybody know that story? No. Colonel Sanders was 65 years old, spent his entire life working menial pay jobs, the railroad, this and that. 65 years old, got his first Social Security check. It was $99. Dead broke, and realized that he needed to do something different. Took him over 1,000 tries to sell his fried chicken recipe before somebody bought it, and now he is what his empire is what it is today. J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, right? 5 years she tried to get that book published, was on welfare with a single mom, 5 years before anybody would even publish her manuscript. She went from being on welfare to being one of the most wealthiest people in the world today. See, guys, this is what we don't understand, is we think that, that if it's not working, that something must be wrong. Guys, you're going to fail your way to success. So you just have to, here's what you have to learn how to do. Give it enough time. If you just go out there every day, and if the only thing you have to do is battle with your own emotions, your own self-doubt, but you just take action and you're excited and you talk to people, it's impossible to not find people that this makes sense to. We're not asking people for money. All they have to do is become a customer and start talking to their friends and family, and they can make money. And if you want to become a regional director, all you have to do is that little thing over and over and over again, and keep teaching people how to do it. It's simple disciplines. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And then the final thing is this: work on yourself. Here's what I found, is that a lot of times when somebody gets into a business like this, they're not necessarily at the point they need to be to become that, area director or regional director. Maybe, one of the hardest things for people to understand is that, sometimes, people respond to you the way they see you. And a lot of times in the beginning, people might not respect you when it comes to business because they've never known you as that. So that's why it's so important for you to constantly trying to get better, get better. Read good books, listen to tapes, find things that can make you a better person, think better, not be negative all the time. Be around positive people. Come to the trainings. The one thing that I learned that's changed my life, every day I read 10 pages of a good book. I started doing that about 15 years ago. The thought, so a lot of people look at me and are like, well, it's easy to see how you could be successful because you can get in front of a room, you can talk to people, blah, 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 blah. Guys, 15 years ago, if I would have came up here, I'd have peed myself in front of them. I'm not even kidding you. I swear to God, the first time, all right, I probably wouldn't have peed myself. But listen, the first time somebody asked me to come in front of a room, right, it was like 10 years ago. I was, never even heard of a business like this. I came out to a meeting, right, had no success. I must have, they say, this is a sharp guy, young guy. Let's try to bring him in to make him feel home. They're like, go to the front of the meeting and introduce us. And I remember standing in the back of the meeting, and this is the thought that entered my mind. I said, I'm just going to leave. Like, literally, I just want to leave. But here's what I knew, that if I left, I could never come back. I mean, how embarrassing would that be? Dude, what happened to you? Oh, whatever. I got a call, something. Yeah, right? So I'm standing in the back of the room. They're like, listen, you can do it. Just go up to the front of the room. Say, welcome everybody out. It's the simplest thing. Welcome everybody out. Turn your cell phones off. Introduce the speaker. So I'm like, oh my God. my heart's like beating, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I can do it. So I'm practicing in my head. You know, I'm like, all right, I'll go up there. I had my little 20-second thing I wanted to say. I walked up to the front of the room. I swear to God, it was the longest walk I've ever taken. I mean, it was only like, it was half the size of this room. I got up to the front of the room. I had a glass of water in my hands, and it was literally shaking like this. I'm dead serious. Shaking. And they're like, put the water down. So I put the water down. I don't remember a single thing I said. It was so awkward that normally the speaker comes to the front of the room and you wait for them to come up and you say hi and thank you. I introduced the speaker and I just sat right back down. Like I couldn't get to that chair fast enough. And the speaker walked up and he was like, okay, thank you. And after the meeting, I went to the back of the room, and what do you think everybody said to me? Oh, great job. It's a great job, right? Because they were encouraging me, right? This is a different type of an environment. You know, if I would have, trust me, if I would have done that and my buddies would have been here, oh my God, I would have never have lived it down. They'd have been like, dude, that was horrible. Do you know what you said? And here's the thing. All these people that were saying great job, I knew they were lying to my face. Right? But you know what it made me, I stepped outside of my comfort zone. I did something that I had never done before, and it made me realize that I could do it again. You know, and it's been, 10, 15 years of just trying to get a little bit better every day that's brought me to the point where I am today. So if you're discouraged with where you are, you can start getting better today too. You know, and I just think it's important to understand that if you can build yourself up, money will come as a result of you doing that. So let's get into the actual process here. So guys, there's a couple of things that are important to realize that when you're out there and you're talking to people, because guys, you understand your job is real simple. It's to talk to people. You get paid to share the North American Power story. That's it. Like, I don't care if you're a brand new rep, you're a referring customer, you're a director, you're a national director. We all do the same thing. We talk to people and we teach other people how to talk to people. It's just sharing the story as many times as you can. Now, are there other skills that you need to learn to develop a large team? Yes. Will you learn them? Yes. How do you learn them? You start to build a team and you see how that works. But in the beginning, your job's simple. Just talk to people. Now, when you're out there and you're talking to people, there are a couple things that you have to keep in mind. Here's the first one. You have to be excited and you have to have a sense of urgency. Because this is the thing. People will either be attracted to you or repelled from you. And if you're not excited about what you're doing, guess what? Why should I be excited? Now, you have to understand this, and sometimes you have to manufacture it. You know, I know a lot of days you don't feel like being excited. And I know for some of you that your personality type is not such where, like, you're going to paint your face and be rah, 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 rah. Like, it's just not you. You know, so what does excited look like for you? I don't know. You know, it probably doesn't look like this for all of you. Now, here's the funny thing. Last week I was in Rhode Island, and I did a training on Saturday, and the Patriots were playing Saturday night. And I made a joke, and it was funny. I said, listen, chances are somebody in this room is probably going to look like something like this. And you know, if I think, guy came up to me after, he's like, dude, I'm going to look like that guy tonight. Because I paint my face, I'll have my shirt off. And this is what some of us do, right, for our sports teams, right, to cheer on grown men that run around on a field in tights and throw a little leather ball around that has no bearing on our financial situation or our life. Now, look, don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying sports. I'm as big of a sports fan as anybody. And look, Brad was, listen, let me say one thing, because some of you are probably thinking of it. No disrespect to Brad, but I don't give a you-know-what about Texas. The Cowboys are in Texas. I hate the Cowboys. Yes. I live in Philadelphia and New Jersey. Talk to me about the opportunity here. 4 million people in the state of New Jersey alone. You realize you can get wealthy just in New Jersey and never build a team anywhere else? But what I'm saying is, you'll get so excited, your entire life will revolve around a sports event that happens once a week. But when it comes to you stepping on the field of your own life, right, being a player in the game of your life, you can't get excited about that. You've got to take that same level of excitement and enthusiasm, and you have to bring it to the business here. You know, you got to realize this. That's going to be one of your biggest assets. You know, the other part of it is urgency. So urgency is this. We're going to give you, before you leave here, we're going to give you a couple examples of what you might say to somebody to get them to sign up as a customer, okay? And I'm going to tell you this. I can teach you exactly what to say, but unless you learn how to say it, it's not going to do you any good. So you've got to have a sense of urgency, because a lot of you, here's why you're frustrated. You're frustrated because you have a bunch of people that you've talked to try to help you out to become your customer, and you have a whole bunch of people that are just trying to figure this thing out. Let me think about it, let me look at this, let me look at that, and you're taking that as acceptable. You have to have a sense of urgency. You have to be able to toe the line and say, listen, what's there to think about? I need you to help me now. I'm trying to get free energy today. I'm trying to make my $100 bonus now. I'm trying to get my fast start bonus. I'm trying to get my $1,000 manager bonus. I need you to do it now. There's nothing to think about. You've got to be able to have that sense of urgency with people so that they can see how important it is to you. Well, when do I need to come to the meeting? Now. When do I need to see the video? Now. You've got to be that way. You have to have posture with people. And if you act that way, you're excited, you have urgency. Is everybody going to sign up? No. Is everybody come to the meeting? No. But the people that you want will, because they'll be attracted to that. Here's the second thing. Concept we have called Don't Be the Movie Trailer. Here's all this means. You've got tools that we created for you. You've got a website, you have videos, right? We have a website we created. It's called HowYouEarn.com. HowYouEarn. HowYouEarn.com. And on HowYouEarn.com, there are 3 videos. There's the video that you saw here this morning. How many people can agree that that was a pretty effective video, right?
Yes.
Is it not create credibility seeing the news stories talk about our company? Mm-hmm. So listen, if you show somebody that video and they see the local news channels talking about this and they still want to say, oh, that's a scam, they're one of those ignorant people in your life, right? You understand what I'm saying? That you can only provide them with documentation. But you have those videos, you have a website, you have all these things that can do a far better job than you at creating value. Here's what the movie trailer concept says. If you are sitting at home and you see a movie trailer for a movie that you really want to see, and you have a friend that you want to go to that movie with you, what would be the natural thing that you would do to create value for that movie? Wouldn't you just have them watch that same movie trailer? You'd call them up. You'd be like, dude, check this out. Thing is totally awesome. You'd be excited. You'd have a sense of urgency. They'd be like, I'm in the middle of something. I don't care. Just stop. 3 minutes. Go online. Watch this. That's what you would probably do. I would watch the movie trailer. I'd get excited. We'd go to the movies together. Now, here's what Don't Be the Movie Trailer means. This is what you do in this business. Same scenario. You see the movie trailer. You call up your friend, but instead of playing the movie trailer, you try to explain the movie trailer to them. Do you know how ridiculous that would sound? Right? Can you think of that in your head? I'd be listening to you, and I'd be on the other end of the phone rolling my eyes like, what are you talking about? It wouldn't sound anything like it actually is. So don't do that. Use the tools that we've created and watch how people respond to you differently. And then here's the biggest one in my mind. Say less to more people. There's a law, scientific law. It's called the law of large numbers, and this is what it says. You do something enough times over and over and over, you'll find the result you want. It's statistically impossible to not get the result you want if you just keep doing something over and over and over again. You know, Thomas Edison, right? Took him over 1,000 tries to perfect the light bulb. Some people would look at that, you imagine spending years of failed attempts, some people would look at that as a bad thing. Every single time that happened, here's what Thomas Edison said. He was excited because he figured out one more way that it didn't work. And he knew that was taking him closer to finding the way that it did. So what if you looked at that? What if every single person that told you no, you got excited because you said, I'm just one closer to finding the way that I want, the one I want, because the law of large numbers, a scientific law, tells me that if I take action over and over and over again, it's impossible to not find who I'm looking for. I'll give you a good example. Is Mike in the room still? One of my area directors on my team, Mike Lawson, took me 13 months of constantly talking to Mike over and over and over again before he would even listen to me. Got involved in the company. Today as an area director, has over 6,000 customers that he gets paid on. 13 months, right? So the key is just doing it over and over and over again. Now listen, guys, if you look like either one of these two people, like when you're following up with somebody, if on the other end of the phone you look like this, here's your problem. You have an emotional attachment to what people say. Let me give you a good example of that. When I called up my sister for the first time about this business, right? Now, if you ever heard my story before, one of the things that I'm most proud about is I've been able to build a business for my mother and my father. They are area directors today. They have over 2,000 customers in their network. Their residual income right now is over $500 a month. Every single 30 days. I've created thousands of dollars of income for them that has completely changed their life in every sense of the word. I've watched them go from stressing about money, having a really bad marriage because of that, to being happier, healthier, a good marriage, because money is not an issue for them anymore. So there's that scenario, and then here's my sister and my brother-in-law, who've got 4 little kids. My sister does not work. My brother-in-law is in the construction industry, and he has very bad back injuries. And he literally has to get shots in his back just so that he can function to do his job. And he doesn't know how much longer he's going to be able to do that. He's never had a job. And he's contemplating, for the first time in his life, you know, at 40 years old, having to put a resume together to get a job. Now, they live down the Jersey Shore. They live right outside of Avalon. I got to tell you, that is not a thriving metropolis where you can just get jobs. So this is the scenario. My sister had to go back to work cleaning houses a couple of days a week so they could make ends meet. Right? You got that scenario? Now, if you had created a business for your parents that was paying them thousands of dollars, and don't you think that it'd probably be a no-brainer that your sister, you do the same for them? Well, I called my sister up and I presented this, what I wanted to do for him. I said, Tammy, just give me the bill. I'm going to sign it up, and I'm going to start building for you just like I did Mom and Dad, and you guys just cash the checks. Does that sound like a pretty good offer?
Yes.
She's like, well, let me talk to Jerry, my brother-in-law. I'll get back to you. I said, great.
Can I be your brother?
Yeah, right. Yeah. She says, well, let me get back to you. Let me talk to Jerry, my brother-in-law. I get a text message about 10 minutes later. A text message that says basically in so many words this. Talk to Jerry. Just want to let you know, thanks for thinking of us, but we're okay. We're okay, she said. Now, how do you think I responded to that initially, right? I wasn't crying, but I was furious because I knew the situation they were in. I had an emotional attachment to that result. And look, it is hard to not have an emotional attachment because there's people that you expect are going to do this that won't. And there's people that you are going to expect are going to help you out to become your customer. They're not going to do it. You just have to understand that and include it. Because there are also going to be people you know that you would never think would want to do this that are going to be all over it and are going to crush this thing and are going to make you thousands of dollars. And there are people that you know that you would never think would sign up as your customer to help you out, that they'll do it at the drop of a hat. So my sister, here I am in this moment where it's like I've got a little Bob Dorn on my shoulder hearing me telling me this same thing. And I just remember thinking, you know what? He told me once, he said, Bob, just because somebody says no, all it means is no for now. It doesn't mean no forever. People's situations change. It's timing a lot. So I remember just, you know, I didn't want to make my sister feel bad. I knew what I wanted to say to her. I didn't say it. I just said, hey, no problem. And it was funny because literally not even 2 months later, my brother-in-law comes up to me at a family party and he's like, hey, I think we might want to get signed up with that energy thing. I said, oh, you think so? Okay. Here they are today, area directors in the company. Their residual check is over $300 a month. They've got about 1,000 customers right now. Their teams are growing. You know, here's the thing that I'm really psyched about. My mom and dad are going to be my 3rd regional director to get me to national director. Cool. Now, there's a number of us, Bob and myself, regional directors, that are sprinting to get to this position because when we get to national director, the company gives us a $3,000 a month car allowance, and it's estimated that you're going to literally pick up tens of thousands of dollars a month in additional residual income on top of what you're already earning. Now that's great, don't get me wrong, but here's what I'm even more excited about. When my mom and dad hit regional, now understand when I say hit, they don't do anything. They're not like working the business, right? Like I hit it for them, right? When they become a regional director, they're going to get that $1,000 a month expense allowance, which is going to pay their mortgage for the rest of their life. I told my mom that the other day. She started crying on the phone. I'm like, Mom, what's wrong? She just doesn't, she can't even believe what this company has done for them. And why do I share that with you? I share it with you because if you have that person that tells you no, if you feel that discouragement, if you want it so bad for somebody and they tell you no, just let it be. Because I'm going to tell you this. You go out and you do this and you have success, you watch the people line up to work with you. And you just got to realize that. You know, the thing is this. It's timing. You're going to have some people in your life, it's just not the right time. You know, if you think about a clock and you think about 12 o'clock, that's a point in somebody's life where they are ready and they're looking for an opportunity. And you're going to approach a bunch of people that are at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and the timing's just not right. And you just have to continue to keep, you know, here's what a successful person in this business, here's their attitude. They don't throw people away. If I approach my friend Zach and he tells me no, I don't make him feel bad for doing that. Because I know I can go back to him in 60 days. And here's the encouraging thing you have to realize. Every single person in your life will have a 12 o'clock. Every person in your life will have a point in their life where they're at 12 o'clock, and you just better hope that you've been professional enough to not make them feel bad so that when you go back to them and share what's happening with you, that they're going to be open to taking a look at it. And that's the thing, guys. That's the encouraging thing. So here's a concept I employ 2 a day. Talk to 2 new people a day. What do you say? I'm going to tell you in a second, right? But keep in mind, guys, it's less important what you say, and it's important more that you just say something. See, your problem is probably not that you haven't talked to the, you know, you're saying the wrong thing. You just haven't talked to enough people. You know, it's funny. It's like we have this $100 incentive right now where it's like you get 2 customers. You sign up today, you get 2 customers, you get $100. Now, who are those 2 customers? Probably your mom, probably your brother or your sister or your best friend. Well, what do I say? I don't know. What do you normally say to them? Just talk to them. Ask them to do you a favor. Try a service. The key thing is talking to them. It is amazing when you start to open your mouth to people and share your excitement and a sense of urgency. It is amazing how people start to get attracted to that. You run into people all day, every day that pay electric bills that aren't happy. Remember, 80% of people don't like their jobs. 75% of them are probably at some point going to struggle with near poverty when they retire. And you've got the answer here. And all your job is just go out and start talking to them and share it with them. There's nobody here that can't tell me you can't talk to 2 a day. There's nobody here. Right? But here's the thing. This is what's really holding you back. This is the last thing I'm going to share with you, and then we're going to get into exactly what you say. This is such a powerful concept. I want to create a scenario for you. If you knew for certain, just picture this in your mind. If you knew that every single person that you approached and shared this with, if every single person would sign up as a customer, and not only sign up as a customer, would actively go out and refer other customers, if every person you approached you knew for certain would do that, you have that in your head? How many people do you think you talk to a day? I mean, honestly, there wouldn't be a person that would walk within 3 feet of you. That you would literally, I'll tell you what I would do. I live in Center City, Philadelphia. I live right next to Whole Foods. I've never seen a busier place in my life, right? I would literally stand in Whole Foods for 8 hours in the produce aisle, waiting for people to come by me and just start talking to them. Right? You know that creepy person, right? That's in there, feeling the melons up, waiting for you to walk near them. Right? How do you tell if they're ripe? You pay an electric bill? Guys, you would have there would be nothing that would hold you back. And you would be successful beyond your wildest imaginations. Monday morning, when that alarm went off, you could smash it if you wanted to. Because you would never have to wake up from an alarm again. Because you would have passive residual income that would allow you to live a life however you want to. Now here's the problem. This is what's holding you back. It's real simple. It is the most simple and fundamental thing you will ever learn. And guys, by the way, this is not just this business. This is everything you do in life. You want me to give you a good example of that? Do we have any single guys in the room here? Okay. What keeps you from talking to the pretty girl? If you knew every single hot chick you ever talked to would fall in love with you, right? How many girlfriends would you have? No offense to the women, but you know what I'm saying. You follow what I'm saying? You want that guy to come up and say hi to you, but why doesn't he? What if she says no? Guys, this has held you back your entire life. You are robbing yourself from the life of your dreams if you can just get over this. So here's a philosophy that I learned that was life-changing to me, guys. Here's the thing. Most people think success and failure look like this. They think that you're either being successful or you're failing. And they think that the error in their thinking is that if people are telling you no, if people are not showing up to the meetings, then you're probably doing something wrong. And you resist that failure, right? You follow what I'm saying? Sure. It stings, it feels bad, it keeps you from taking action. This is a false assumption. This is the way it really is. See, if you're failing, it means you're on your way to being successful. Guys, I got to tell you this. If you're not failing at something every day, you're not trying. If you live a life where you're so comfortable, where you're going through the motions, where you can literally put your life on cruise control, and you don't have to get uncomfortable, and you don't have to fail at something, you're going to live your same life right now for the rest of your life. Because in order for you to have something more, you've got to do something more. And that involves you sometimes failing. It's like when a baby, a baby when they're crawling, they first learn to walk, they fall down, right? When your baby falls down for the first time, you say, "Oh, we tried, just stay crawling." Can you imagine an adult that just crawled? Because they're like, "Well, I tried it a couple times and it just didn't work out for me. I think it's hereditary," right? How ridiculous would that be? See, what happens, you encourage them. And how long does the baby try? Until it can walk. How many people do you have to talk to until you find the one you're looking for? How long is it going to take? I don't know. Guys, just understand that the only difference between Bob Doran and you is he has consistently failed more than you. He's had more people tell him no. He's had more people not show for meetings. He's had more people be negative. Every single day we deal with the same thing. You just have to learn how to include it. Have that same philosophy as Thomas Edison. Every single time you get a no, that brings you one closer to yes. Now, am I saying that it's not important what you say to people? No. I'm going to show you right now some specific language and things that you can do to help you be effective, but I want you to understand a bigger problem that most of us have is that we just don't talk to enough people because we're afraid of this, and we never get to those numbers that we need to find the people.